All right, YouTube. Donald Trump is rescinding the Obama-era sort of bathroom policy. They're essentially in schools, other government-run or government-co-opted institutions. Under that rule that was put into place, a person can use the bathroom that they feel comfortable using, essentially. If they identify as male, use the male bathroom. Females would use the female bathroom in order to accommodate people who are transgendered. Now, at the time that this was put into play, I said, and I'm going to say it again, I don't care what bathroom someone who's a transvestite uses. It doesn't matter to me. Someone who's transgender, they're pre-op or post-op. Whatever, I don't fucking care. You can't pay me enough to care. There are already unisex bathrooms anyway. There were, I know, on the UVM campus when I was there. It never caused a problem that I could tell. Here is, though, the problem that I do have that, in a legal sense, could. What if some totally biological male, for example, somebody they're not actually transgendered, says, oh, well, I'm going to use the female bathroom over here, and goes off and, just sits there for an hour. They get turned on by the sound of women shitting or something like that. There's no legal recourse under Obama's policy for that. Essentially, unless they're doing something like lewd conduct or something along those lines, or attempted rape, there's nothing you can fucking do about it. Because if you were to try to kick them out, they would sue your ass. And they would win under that policy. It could set up a literal constitutional crisis. I think that the better idea is just to install unisex bathrooms. I don't see the problem with it. Most of the time when people are going to a bathroom, what are they doing in the bathroom? They're taking a piss, they're taking a shit, or something like that. That's my one problem with it, with the policy, is that people who are not actually transgendered at all will make use of that policy anyway to be perverted. There will always be a few people who try to do that. So that would be my problem. As for Trump rescinding this policy, I think reforming the policy would probably be a better approach, specifically to account for that style of situation. I think that could be a little bit of a problem. Again, I'm not talking about transgendered individuals. I'm talking about people claiming to be so for legal purposes to protect themselves in whatever perverted behavior they wish to display because they happen to be, there's something fucking wrong with them or something like that. Then you have Caitlyn Jenner weighing in. Of course, Jenner was originally Bruce Jenner, male to female, post-op, transvestite, and weighing in saying, oh, Trump should call me, I'll set this stuff straight. Trump is within his rights to rescind this policy. But when he does, it becomes a political lightning rod. This is going to be used by not just the left, but people in general who don't like him, I'm sure, as a wedge issue against him. That includes, like, the never-Trump Republicans. They'll probably jump on board. You'll get Lindsey Graham, who would rather use the female bathroom, I'm sure, himself. He'll probably jump down Trump's throat on this policy proposal, too. It's just sort of the way things are going in D.C. right now. I mean, it's chaos. It's literal insanity. But it's not a policy that alters my life, because I just don't fucking care. In fact, most public restrooms are so fucking filthy, it's like, why use them anyway? It'd be easier just to piss in the aisle or something like that. You go to the restaurant, you go to the bathroom, what is it? Usually it's like half graffiti anyway. It's like people writing dick jokes and racial jokes and pictures of various weird mutated genitalia. Dicks where the testicles don't even have a scrotum to cover them up and so forth. That's what you get in the average bathroom. I'm sure I've heard from people that women's bathrooms are basically the same. I would expect them to be more neat. It's like women are neat and tidy and hee-hee, we fart rainbows sort of stuff. Now it's like there's piss and shit and menstrual blood and stuff everywhere. So it's abominable, the situation you've got there. But I suppose we should count ourselves as lucky. At least we have public restrooms. Unlike some notorious countries where poo is not taken to the loo, let's face it, and where that could be a little bit of a problem outside of a very few into fully industrialized zones. But Trump rescinding this, it's not doing him any favors. I realize that transgendered rights are sort of a step behind gay rights when it comes to public opinion. Of course, gay rights. The vast majority of the public now doesn't have a fucking problem with it. They just don't care. And that includes even some evangelicals at this point. It's like medical marijuana or something like that. It's a dead wedge issue. He's seizing upon this, but he's setting up, I think, the Republican Party, if it chooses to conglomerate behind them on this, for a long-term loss, maybe a short-term gain in public opinion among certain centrists who are like, oh, well, you know, men shouldn't be using the little girl's room or something like that. Long-term, though, it boils down to legalism. It doesn't boil down to, is this necessary, is this a good idea? It boils down to, what are the government's constitutional limits regarding this? I think long-term, what is going to happen is you're going to have desegregation of bathrooms altogether. Now, this may or may not end up being a problem. I like to think the average person is not going to the bathroom for anything other than using the fucking toilet or washing their hands. But there will always be a few people who take advantage of such a policy. That is the concern here. And in doing so, when that actually happens, under an Obama-style policy, it actually just tarnishes all transgendered people and makes them look like perverts, because that's the discourse that's going to actually come out. You have Jenner is a lifelong Republican, a rock-ribbed conservative, probably far to the right of Donald Trump himself, saying, fucking talk to me because this is a bad idea. He should probably consider the possibility that this is going to decline his support, because remember, most of those people who have a problem with the issue are probably already approving of what Trump is doing. He's going for the border wall, for deportation of criminal aliens, working on tax plans and so forth. He's already got their support. He's not gaining much by this. Now, in fairness, he's just reversing the Obama-era change to a policy that was always there to begin with, which is, yeah, there are male bathrooms and female bathrooms. Fucking use the male or female bathrooms. But if a person is transitioning, let's say somebody is maybe pre-op even, but they're taking hormones, physically speaking, they would completely appear to be of the opposite gender. They pass completely. Some dude is taking hormones and appears, you know, fully biological female. What this would suggest is that that person who would walk into the men's room, I would think that would actually cause a problem. I think that if that were to happen, you'd end up with a situation where business owners aren't necessarily going to know, the employees aren't necessarily going to know, the other people in the restroom just there to shop, they're not necessarily going to know. You're going to get a sort of silence policy, almost like maybe don't ask, don't tell for the whole world community, for the whole U.S. community, where people just don't fucking talk about it because they don't want to be bothered. That could actually cause a problem as well, because then what if some pervert does walk into the girls' room and nobody's going to say anything? They're going to say, oh, transvestite. That person's sitting and beating off in the stall, and there's nothing legally you can potentially do about that. And they'll say, oh, yeah, I'm a transvestite. Yeah, I was born female. I'm on hormones. What are you fucking looking at, bitch? Or something like that. And it's almost like a no-win scenario, because either way, with either policy, you're going to have this problem now that there's some sort of legal precedent involved. So, I don't know. There's no easy solution to this. It's one of those impossible fucking scenarios where, I mean, it just doesn't make any sense either way. I can't really fault Trump, but then again, I can't fault his critics on this either. I can't fault anybody on this issue, because it's impossible to actually solve it as far as I can see. Unless you're going to, like, ban being transgendered altogether and say, oh, well, we just won't give out sex change hormones and operations. Then you run into the additional constitutional argument, which would be the same for, like, abortion, it'd be the same for, like, plastic surgery or something. Well, you can't tell people what procedures they can and can't get. So we've opened up a can of worms here, in other words, through medical technology, so to speak. So it's going to be interesting to see how it plays out. I'm not sure it's the greatest idea at this point in his presidency for Trump to touch the issue, though. I think he should have left it alone. Leave it for somebody else to fucking talk about, because now it's just going to be a political lightning rod, including when you get Jenner, again, a total conservative, someone who's more like Ted Nugent than Donald Trump, on board with criticizing him on this. That's not necessarily the greatest thing for his support base, because it's true. There are people who are conservative who don't give a fuck about the issue. So he loses their support potentially if they consider it a major issue, especially if they consider it just, oh, well, it's individual rights. Let them use whatever fucking bathroom they want as long as they're doing nothing wrong, essentially. It could be a big problem for him down the road. That's about all. Peace out.